All right, a major White House shakeup. Sean Spicer resigning as White House press secretary as Senate Republicans prepare for an Obamacare repeal vote early next week.
Senate Republicans this week continue to work toward our shared goal of saving the American people from the disaster of Obamacare. Representatives from several grassroots organizations calling on the Senate to take action on health care legislation. As the President has said, inaction is simply not an option.
How will the changes of the White House impact the president's agenda? Here now is Guy Benson, townhall.com political editor and a Fox News contributor. Guy, I was floored by the performance this afternoon. I didn't expect, I don't know why I would have expected Anthony Scaramucci to put on a performance like that at the podium. It seemed like it was the most effective one this administration has had. And Chris Wallace said the same thing, and he's a tough critic. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Scaramucci was smooth. He was slick. We know him at Fox Business. He's very good on his feet. He's an able communicator, and I think the reason that he was hired is that President Trump likes him on television and thinks he does a good job defending him on TV. And I think there's probably a frustration if you're Trump, right? You're sitting here, you're clipping through the channels, you're watching Fox News, you're watching Fox Business, occasionally some other channels, and you say, well, there's a guy who's doing a better job defending me than I think some of the people that I'm paying to do that are doing. Why don't I go get him? So that, I think, was the mentality that the president had here. Now, what people will tell you, I was an intern in the Bush administration in the communications shop. The communications director is a very big job that usually is not that public. It involves a lot of moving parts. I suspect that Anthony Scaramucci is going to be a very different and unconventional comms director in a very unconventional White House. Yeah, because, I mean, he showed us that his strength was really at the podium, which, I've been on television with him before. Obviously, he, worked here as well. I didn't expect him to be that smooth up in front of the whole crowd. It seems like maybe that's his strength, and maybe that's where they should have him out front. I mean, I guess that's what's confusing me. Well, it'd be crazy not to. Right. I think the reason that he was hired is because he's good on TV, so not putting him on TV and in front of the cameras, I think, would be a mistake. Part of the scuttlebutt about why Sean Spicer stepped down was he thought that exactly what we're talking about was going to transpire, where Scaramucci would get this big title, would be out there very publicly, but a lot of the tough work that the communications director actually has to get done, the logistical stuff, checking the boxes, Spicer feared that was all going to fall onto him.
So what does it fall on now, do you think?
That's a good question, and I think that there's maybe some indications that some of Spicer's loyalists in that communications department are also going to leave. I talked to a former RNC aide who's very close to Spicer who thinks there are some people on that team who are loyal to him, loyal to Reince, loyal to the party, not necessarily Team Trump. So Scaramucci might be doing some staffing up early on in his tenure here.
So net-net, I wonder what that means for the stuff that's right on the horizon right here. For example, they're going to try and tackle health care next week. So on one hand, you have kind of a clean slate because you've kind of turned the page, changed the story, put somebody out there who defanged the press. I mean, the way CNN came at him, what do you think about fake news? Are you going to keep with the fake news? And he goes, no, I mean, you guys had fake news, and I forgave you, and we're good now. I mean, he just really put it right. He was so good with that.
That was low-hanging fruit because if they're going to try to play gotcha with Anthony Scaramucci about fake news, CNN wronged Anthony Scaramucci.
Big time.
Right? They published a story that didn't live up to their editorial standards. They apologized. To their credit, they rescinded the story, and then they also ended up firing 3 people. So he's probably not the right guy to try to go after on that front because he personally was targeted by actual fake news by them.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's very good at turning the page, but then on the other hand, like you said, it's going to be staffed with loyalists to Spicer no matter how much they put people out there saying they're one big happy family. We all know that's not true.
Well, they're going to say that tonight. I know Hannity's got some folks. I think Spicer and Priebus will be there together. They're going to be putting on a happy face. But there was, I think, an insightful question during that press briefing saying, okay, how much of this is just a communications problem and how much of this is a political or policy problem? That's a legitimate question. And some of these issues that are flying around the White House, they're not going to be solved with an attractive, articulate new spokesperson. The issues go deeper, but I think Trump is probably the president, very pleased with what he saw today. And now we move to next week. I want to make one point on health care quickly.
Okay, please.
The president's been all over the map in terms of what he's saying about health care, what he wants, what he doesn't want, changing hour by hour. But one of the consistent points that he's made, and he's right, is Obamacare is failing. The Republicans finally have an opportunity to do what they've promised, and if they fail to do that, that's a disaster for the party.
Disaster.
He is right, and they need to pay attention and get this done.
Yeah, don't go home until you finish your work, or you're going to have a lot of angry people on your front lawn screaming at you. Guy, thank you. Have a great weekend. We love having you.
Happy Friday,
Thank you.
Melissa.
Yes, absolutely.